All right, so we're live. Welcome to my live stream. This is episode 259. I think we might be being joined by Mr. Lujan as well as possibly Scott Cirkland. But I'm going to be basically working on comics that you can see off stream. If you're hearing music in the background, that's my son's video games. And I'm just basically going to be working on layout and stuff for my comic. So that's kind of what's on the agenda. Let me see. I'm not sure. Hey Ben, can you turn the music down just a little bit on your iPad? Just a little bit. He's got like his music blaring on his iPad, which is pretty awesome. It's actually pretty rad music. It's kind of fun because when you have a kid, it's like often when I'm working on art, because he's like playing these games that have these like really intense like action kind of soundtracks, you feel like you're like at the end of a movie, like with these like intense just games like going on in the background and this intense music. You know, it's pretty awesome is all I'm saying. So yeah, so basically today what I have on the agenda for like what I'd like to accomplish is I want to work on comics. I want to possibly hang out with some friends whilst working on comics. And my goal here is actually that by 12:30 or so, I should be able to move back to just kind of working on art stuff. And not art stuff, sorry. I should be able to move to doing some music recording over at Josh, my other friend Josh's house. So I'm going to be live streaming probably till about 12:30ish. So if you're tuning in or watching, feel free to just understand we're probably going to go till about 12:30. We had a pretty lively stream yesterday. Oh, here's Scott Cirkland. Oh, I was adding you, and I think you were adding you at the same time. Okay, there we go. How's it going, Scott?
Good. I clicked on the I was you know how you send the thing out on the messenger.
Yeah.
I was up a little high, so I clicked on yesterday's link, and I'm like,
oh no way.
Oh, that's weird. I'm just sitting here, and then it said stream ended. I'm like, oh, I must have clicked on the wrong.
You're like, no, I missed it. Yeah, like I thought that live stream yesterday was pretty funny. They're always a little bit off the rails when you have like that many guests, but I thought it was like in a fun way.
Jim in. I don't know. Can Jim let himself in? I don't know if he can.
I don't know, but now he's in. So how's it going, Jim Lujan? I'm gonna be fully transparent here. I might have a problem with Risk, you guys. I was finishing up a game of Risk, which is what. And you know what's funny? I should go grab my mug. I was literally drinking from that exact mug. Let's highlight this.
Oh,
yeah.
Why were you drinking out of my mug?
Show it, Jim. You got to show the mug and tell the people where you purchased said mug.
I purchased this from Gary Hodges Etsy, I believe.
Nice. The guy who likes killing Boy Scouts. I love it.
Yes.
Now. I just have to ask because I know Gary's kind of mentality. Now, if you hold it up to a light, does a laser shoot out and just blast that kid?
Yeah.
You got a little UV printing on it or something.
I feel bad. Like I don't know. I feel like we're gonna like talk about Gary to a point where people Google like disaster with Boy Scouts and it's like DVSM. Like it's the first thing to show up.
You know what's creepy is that when you drink out of this and you put your lips on it, it like it highlights it. The little boy says, "Oh, your lips feel so good."
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah.
Oh no. Oh, I love it. So how are you guys doing?
I got it out of my system.
I feel like yesterday's stream was pretty fun. I couldn't stop thinking about that 2 thumbs joke. I was like, that's actually like a gold like joke. Like that's just a really good
one. Make that happen.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Christopher do it.
I missed that joke. What was it?
Okay, so it was like a combined joke where Frank chimed in, made a good joke, and then we came up with like a way to make it a double bit. So it was basically him, like somebody walks up to a person on the street and they're like, "Guess who has 2 thumbs and is awesome?" And the person's like, "You?" And it's like, "No, you. You have 2 thumbs and are awesome." And then the person goes, "How dare you, sir? I have no thumbs." And it's like just randomly, like they picked one person who has no thumbs.
I think Christopher's going to do something about a person does that in a world without thumbs or something. I think that's the direction he was saying. He was going to be like, everyone in that world has no thumbs or something. I don't know.
Scott, isn't that a Kiss song off The Elder?
A world
with no thumbs
by Gene Simmons.
I absolutely love it.
That's a deep cut.
Best Kiss album ever.
It's a very deep cut.
I love it. Speaking of Gene Simmons,
Kiss did a concert about a week or two ago, and Gene Simmons had to like stop in the middle of it because he was like exhausted and dehydrated, and they had to like sit him down. And Paul Stanley was worried at first, but then Paul Stanley, when they saw that he was kind of okay, the crew, they kind of stopped the show, but the lights are still on and everything, and Gene's sitting in his armor, like on the side of the stage, just like he's like, and they get drinking water and stuff. And Paul Stanley goes, "Now we all got a lot of love for Jesus."
Come on, people!
I love it. I feel like Scott could probably do an impersonation of like every member of Kiss. Like, if you ever need a Kiss sounding vocal on your animations, Jim, you definitely need to get Scott to do
Paul Stanley. Paul Stanley's got 2 voices that he does. Yeah. He's got his stage voice and his regular voice.
You know what's funny, Scott? I didn't notice this until like the episode of Artcasters where you went as Gene Simmons, but your voice in itself is not like, it's only like 1 register away from Gene Simmons anyway. Because you have that like deeper voice, so it's like it's funny. I didn't even notice the similarity till you made that impression, and then I was like, oh, I guess that's not super hard for Scott because it's like one volume away from it's really
there's certain voice, because I don't really proclaim to be good at voices, but there's certain ones I can do just probably because they are kind of in my register or whatever. I don't know.
And I can tell you that Scott's lifestyle is 1 click away from Gene Simmons too.
That's true. I mean, he is like the king of rock and roll. You got to keep this guy away from drugs. That's all I have to say, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, Gene Simmons never did drugs.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay, you got to keep this guy away from any sort of woman, especially radio hosts. That was a deep cut about the Terry Gross thing. You guys know about that, right?
Oh, that's probably not an isolated event, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Josh, if you paint that mic like a good fruity color, it would look like a piece of fruit.
I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. I think it
would be like you're talking into a mango.
Yeah, I like the idea of a show where you're talking into like a coconut or a mango, and you're pulling the coconut closer or whatever. So what I'm trying to say here is, and it's got to be like a really serious radio show. That could be funny. You could have a person talking into a coconut thinking they're doing a show.
Is Josh's new show Talk to My Banana?
So, yeah, that's true.
Have we all read Gary's book? I just read it this morning.
Yes, you guys.
We are going to have him on the Artcaster too. So
let's give away everything about the book, and then I was thinking about this whilst Gary was away. Have we thought about just repackaging, like make the same book and just say it's by us?
I think we all should. Like Kiss did the solo albums. We should all have our like own version of DVSM.
Yeah, exactly. We just do like cover albums. We're like, it's a cover song, man. It's a cover. No, what was your impression without giving anything away? And we don't want to give too much away because, like Scott was saying, we're going to be having Gary on Artcasters pretty soon to talk about it. But first impression?
First impression was that, again, what Gary does well, better than anybody, is the acting of the characters, like the actual acting. And I was blown away. Like, this is better. This is Like his second book was a level up
Yeah.
from the first book. It's like he skipped 3 levels and went way up here, like with this one. Like,
No,
the
I
acting
agree.
is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling Gary, it's like the weird thing is, because I know Gary and like whenever I see like friends' work that I know, it's like I'm usually kind of viewing it really analytically, not skeptically, but like I'm looking at like the technique and all the things they did. And there were like 3 or 4 things that Gary did
Mhm.
at the very beginning. One of them Scott already called out, which is like having balloon like walk, like the balloon itself moves off out of panel, so it's like cut
Yeah.
off halfway. And it's like things like that that get you really engrossed in the story, and before you know it, I'm like forgetting I'm reading a friend's book or whatever, and I'm just completely in the story. Like it was kind of amazing because that doesn't happen to me a lot, even when watching like movies or animations where like
Yeah,
my
Gary's
analytical
writing
brain just
reminds me
shuts
of
off and I just
Brian.
enjoy the story. And it totally, you're right. Like his dialogue is so compelling. And then his visual acting, it like, man, like the expressions and timing and pacing. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but he is, yeah, it's what I was telling you off stream. It's one of those moments where you read it and you're like, I'm really stoked I'm friends with this guy. Cause I feel really flattered that like, it's an amazing thing when you have a group of like friends who make really brilliant work. It's like makes you proud, like, yeah, I don't know. Anyhow,
Gary is so talented that if we ganged up and threw him into a pit, he would
yeah,
come out years later with an amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I think we're gonna have to do that. I mean, why did he get that dream coat, you guys? I don't understand it. Makes me very jealous. Makes me want to throw him in a pit, sell him to slavery.
He said, "God's my tailor," like that, and he was out. No,
that was funny because I haven't even thought of Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat in years. That was a deep cut. That was good.
That's why we're friends.
I know.
I was just the acting. Like if Gary, if I tell a story and somebody's smoking a cigarette, they already have it hanging from their lip, and they're just like,
yeah.
Oh, and you're like, oh, look, that guy's smoking a cigarette. Gary will like show them unfolding the pack, and then the sound effect will be like crickle clack, and then the cigarette comes up in the mouth and it goes ploop, and then he fling, the lighter, and then but then the dialogue that follows it is just really well movie dialogue, like written.
Yeah.
It's so well written, and he reminds me. I mean, Gary kind of reminds me a lot of Brian Michael Bendis. I think I see similarities. I don't even know if he's a fan.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good point. Like a lot of the soundtrack stuff he does is great too, and I love the pacing where not only is it like good acting and stuff, but it's like also very patient storytelling. And so there's a particular scene with like a syringe. I don't want to give away anything beyond that, but even the way that was executed, it was just sequentially like pretty brilliant. And it's like this moment that like, again, a lot of people would show in like one panel and he shows it in like 4. And it just, the smartness of like stretching out that moment. I don't know. It's really hard to kind of, I'm really going to have to read it like a couple more times, because there's some things he was doing sequentially that I definitely feel like, man, I need to use that kind of technique. Like it's really brilliant, like really good work. And also the musical number was like, I mean, nobody writes musicals like Gary Hodges,
Yeah, and nobody knows syringes like Gary Hodges.
Yeah, that's true.
So as I'm watching, and again, no spoilers, but as I was reading the book, and I don't even mean in the action scenes, I mean just everyday scenes.
Yeah.
Like I had to think, it's like, I wonder how much of Gary's job has helped to improve, or just maybe it's not even improved. Maybe the magic was in him all along. No, but maybe he's always just been this good, but he didn't have a reason to show certain things.
Yeah.
But like the way he draws a 1970s telephone, the way he draws, somebody's expression when they're going like there were times where like again, no spoilers, but one of the characters is doing something as menial as unplugging something. You know, it's not a big dramatic moment or anything, but just the way that he did that, I was like, I could tell what they're doing. Like, I instantly could tell what they're doing, and it's just, I know he uses reference to, but it's just really well done. I was really impressed by the acting. Again, the acting and the writing, you know, and the music.
Oh, the writing is pretty compelling, and like the thing I also like is speaking of the writing, plot structure wise. I felt this way too when he first sent the script. Was he really does seed all the right information like right at the beginning that kind of pays off at the end, and a lot of it feels like ancillary detail, and then later on pays off, and it's very tightly written, like in a good way, like where it's like every thread is kind of resolved. Obviously it's in a series, so you're not going to get like full resolution, and that's how the dinosaurs versus Mars bots happened or anything at the end. Although I did like that part, at the end where they said, wow, look at this, it's dinosaurs versus Mars bots, and then they look at the panel. Yeah, but other than that, like the way that he expertly paced and plotted that book. It's really good. It's like, I agree with you. I think it's his best one yet, and that's saying a lot because the other two are incredible. So, yeah, you're right. I feel like it levels up each time. What did you guys think about? Speaking of Jim, like what you were bringing up about the research and stuff. How did you guys feel about that? Because I was pretty impressed by that. Like the level of like detail of like 1979.
Oh, I mean, his attention to detail is just like, again, he talked kind of ad nauseum about his frustration with it, but the jacket, having to redraw that jacket and everything like that.
Nice.
But some of it, I'm wondering, just based on Gary's occupation, like some of the more graphic things, I'm wondering how much of that is actually, stuff that he's maybe seen in his work, because there's some really gruesome stuff in there. It's like, oh, geez, yeah. But,
yeah, no, that is kind of incredible too. Like the violence in it is uniquely detailed and very realistic, and it does make me wonder. I'm like, wow, has Gary had to look at like crime scene photos with this kind of thing? I think we lost Jim, or Jim just froze on an expression. Yeah, he was like, I hear the word
I don't
violence.
Like where this is going.
Yeah, it's like violence. I'm out. Sorry, guys. I don't do violence. Yeah, but like that's a good point. Like the kind of anatomical detail and accuracy is pretty cool. But I just really admire like how planned out it is. It's like you can read. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say his ability in that latter half of that book, just building up suspense and everything.
Yes.
And like, I mean, page turning and the way he like, and then there's that pause in the middle that he did, masterfully, that, the easiest page he said he ever did, but that's perfect. I mean, I love stuff like that. Some people will look at certain things like that and like, oh, that's a total cop out, but no, that type of, I mean, that's what you can do with comics. And it's kind of, he really did well as far as it's a really great example to show people about how you can pace things in a comic, because it's very, the beginning of that book is very different from the end of the book. It's almost like, it's just like the beginning is kind of like it's hinting at things and you're learning things, and you're just like, and you're like, oh, where's this going? Where's it? And then it just starts to, and then it all goes kind of crazy. It's like,
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed that he does a lot in all three books actually is like and it's a really smart choice if you're going to do like action or horror or anything, honestly. The way that he draws you in with a slow kind of lead, and introduces you to a few characters. This is the Tarantino part, right? This is the thing that I think makes us all feel like it's like Tarantino, where Tarantino will kind of bring you into a scene and it's like, it's almost an insignificant scene at first, where it's just two people having a conversation about a cheeseburger or something. But with Tarantino, but with Gary, like he'll kind of introduce you to this world, these characters, and then start giving you buy-in to those characters, like investment in a subplot, like, you know, which he introduces at the beginning. The characters are kind of talking about that subplot, and it gets you interested in like, how's that going to resolve? And then there's like just this left turn it takes where you suddenly realize it's like a totally different story than what you're being introduced to. And you're hit with just like intense action. But it's like a very slow build. And I think he's really excellent at getting you buy-in and investment in the characters like really early on, so that the whole time, like the tension is so much higher because, again, like, you know, a lot of people who write like action comics or horror don't bother to do that, or just don't do it as effectively. You know, where I've watched or read many like horror comics where I could care less what happens to the characters, you know? And Gary's is like really good at getting you invested in these people, and like, and also bringing in character flaws too of the characters. I always think is really interesting too.
Does anybody else think it's weird that Gary kills a fresh batch of Boy Scouts in this book?
Yeah, I gotta say that's the one critique I'd give Gary is like ease up on the Boy Scout murders. You know, like
What I was kind of surprised was that he didn't stop at the Boy Scouts. I mean, this one we just went after the Girl Scouts as well.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like no one is safe.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I even think he killed a couple of Salvation Army.
Do they have baby scouts? I don't know if they have baby scouts, but
I thought it was weird that he went like from Boy Scouts to then Weeblos and Cub Scouts, and I was like, wow, you're like, I mean, there's. I have no idea who's at the door, so I'm going to go check that. I'll be right back.
And all of a sudden, Keith Morrison's voice comes out and go, "What Josh didn't know was this would be a very special delivery."
That could go one of two ways, or it could go a number of different ways.
As Josh's two companions watched, they were helpless to help him. But this was no ding-dong ditch. This was a ding-dong murder.
Did you get our strippergram?
Yeah, it was a police officer. They were kind of asking questions. They started taking off their clothes. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I just closed the door.
A little bit later, there'll be a construction worker and an Indian. So while you were answering the door...
Yeah, I don't know why, too. The music just kicked in, you know? It's like I opened the door and there's like this...
Young man! So as you answer the door, I was doing like Keith Morrison. I was like... What Josh didn't know was this would be a special delivery.
It's like somebody told me you're a cartoonist. Anyhow, so yeah, like it was food. How are you guys? It was poop. Yes,
I think exactly. Food, like, you know, from comics food. I think.
Oh, nice. That's true. That would be a little scary.
So again, we're going to talk about Gary behind his back, but one of the we were talking about, Gary and I were talking about, again, he's in it as we speak, about our post-release marketing lack.
Yeah,
he's got a few shows lined up, but we really do need, you know, it would be perfect. Everybody wishes they had like a marketing person.
Yeah.
But it kind of sucks because we all have to be our own marketing person.
Yeah.
And sometimes we like to fire ourselves because it's very
well, we didn't get into this to do marketing, you know.
No.
Yeah.
So like once you release a book, so again, what do they say? Passing the same dollar around. Like if we're selling it all to our friends and showcasing it in front of our friends only. Is it only making that same, you know, the same rounds all the time? And how do you get outside of that, you know?
Yeah, I think Scott could.
But
Scott could chime in on that a lot, because I think his new approach to his new direction on his channel is kind of heading in that direction.
Do you find a new direction hard, Scott?
Yes, quite hard. Yes. As far as marketing Gary's book, I mean, there's a ton of stuff Gary could do. Whether he, I mean, I think he'd be willing to admit that there's definitely a lot more that he could do to market the book. But I mean, I just, to me, that's the thing, is that it is so good that it just more people need to see it. And I mean, with enough time, just word of mouth, because I can't imagine anyone that would pick that up and read it and like, oh, it was okay. I mean, you want to tell people about it. Yeah. So I mean, word of mouth is definitely, for a book like Gary's, is effective. But I mean, I just think there's got to be, I don't know whether it's, even if it's starting with Kickstarter, and maybe the first Kickstarter or whatever doesn't do great, but I mean, or just does fine. I think, you still got 3 more books to go. I mean, I don't know. I think you can build that, because, you can reach a lot of people that way. I mean, obviously it's the market and everything, but to create, I don't know, it just, I'm struggling to figure out exactly. I just know he needs to do more, and more people need to see the book,
Yeah, I was just kind of curious, like with your new YouTube direction, like without the new direction joke, like what kind of thinking you've been doing in regards to like what Jim was talking about with like trying to solve the problem, which, again, it's a good problem to have. It's like, it's nice to have support anywhere. But there is that problem in comics, and I'm sure in animation too, where these are such niche communities that like quite often we're selling to artists, and like artists are broke most of the time.
Right. Yeah.
Or, you're doing okay, but like even the most successful of artists, like compared to like a successful like businessman or successful lawyer, like we're not raking in like billions of dollars, most of the time. So it's like, how do we kind of get markets that are people who are interested in the type of, stuff we create without like just selling the same, like you're saying, just passing the dollar around?
Well, first you need to find the audience that isn't a comic book audience. So, when we say X-Files meets Tarantino, you go after the people that like Tarantino, you go after the people that like X-Files or whatever else. Or if you're doing a comic book and it's about cats, you go to cat people. You don't go to comic people. So whatever your comic is about, you go after that audience, the people that are into that particular thing, whatever that theme is. Not
that's
necessarily,
just
comic people.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm really excited about this Brownings book that I'm working on, because every book I've made before doesn't have like a built-in scene. Like, meaning there's no like, I don't know. Like there are people who care about mental health issues and stuff, but I don't know if there's like a huge market for like the kind of books that I've made so far. There's like niche markets, but it's like the niche of the niche. Like, and so it's kind of neat to be working on something where I know like once we get to the point of having a book, there's like a built-in market. There are people who are like huge, like Jane Austen fans. We can hit that. There's people who are like huge fans of like of the Brownings and like literary types that are like really into stories about the Brownings, and we're telling a new story about that. So it's like, I think the marketing in that sense, especially for the writer like Lavender, she'll be able to speak to that audience really well. And I just think that's really it's an exciting thing, because again, it is really hard when you're making niche work. But I agree. I also think Gary already has that. Like Dinosaurs versus Marsbots is already in a marketable territory. I'm sorry, my dogs are on crack right now.
Don't worry. Two things, Josh. One is I just realized that the microphone from this perspective, because it looks like it's in the background, looks like it could be Ben's MMA punching bag.
It is actually. Yeah, we're training him. We're training him for the we want to throw him in the octagon in about a year.
There's really no other way to make money fast on kids like that. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna pay-per-view it, and we'll only keep like about 80% of it. The rest will go to his college fund, which we'll dip into later on.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, you probably need to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The other thing is, speaking of dipping into, do you feel like not love, but not death, but love? You must have had to like dig into your like your like push yourself harder than, you know what I mean? Like it's had ups and downs and everything. It's a long road. You feel like you're kind of in new territory a little bit with it?
It's a different approach, It's like it engages my illustrator brain more, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like doing illustration and stuff, like most of the time there's a lot of research and stuff involved in it, but it's for like a single image. But like, so that process of like, if I have to like illustrate something from like the medieval era or something, I have to start doing research on costumes and stuff like that for a single image. So in that sense, it's a little in my lane, but for comics, it's totally outside of anything I've done. Plus I'm trying this different approach to like the execution and stuff. And it causes me to like have to stretch, but to me, like, that's one of the reasons I even was willing to put like my second book on hold for 2 stories, like book 2, was literally because first off, it's a good script. Second off, like, again, there's already a built-in market for it, and it's one of those things of like nobody's written it yet. So like kind of what Scott was talking about, where I feel like, again, like with Gary, like I feel like that market's there. Like there's a huge market for what Gary is writing. And like Scott was saying, like you've got like huge horror fans, like people who would literally spend money the second they hear the word horror. Like that's such a very like loyal community. You have like the whole X-Files audience, which is huge. I really think there's got to be a way that like all of us can kind of expand. But it is a weird thing where
people are into like conspiracy theories, things like that, or
and again,
not necessarily conspiracy theorists, but people who are into like reading about that kind. I mean, there's so many dinosaurs, even though dinosaurs is kind of a like small
70s decor,
Yeah.
Because there was some really righteous 70s decor in it.
Oh, dude, some righteous 70s costumes too. Her blouse, the main character has a blouse that I was stunned by the detail of that. Much less the jacket that he redrew meticulously in each panel, and I was like, I would have just changed the jacket. There's no way.
And I thought that the thigh-high boots and the glitter sequin arm gloves, I thought those were a good touch too. But I mean, Gary, write what you know, right? So.
Yeah. And the Kiss cameo, I think there's a built-in market for that too,
Yeah, I thought that was what is tastefully done though. But I thought it was weird that he put Vinnie Vincent in there though. That's a deep cut, by the way. That's a deep cut.
That's circa. That was probably 79 or something. I'm trying to think. Creatures of the Night tour.
It could have been, or 80.
So
here we
79,
go.
79. It might have been Vinnie Vincent.
Wow, that was
very accurate.
So some person was saying you could sell to social workers and therapists. They might be looking for things to help their patients. Yeah, but like that. So that's the niche that I've always found hard. And maybe we can all talk about that. Like, I guess, what have been your struggles like marketing outside of just the fans of our work that tend to be also people making work, and again, like it's like the same dollar from artists. For me, with 2 stories, like one of the biggest struggles, because they were saying, oh, you could market it to like social workers or therapists, is I'm not writing like a self-help book. And so that market is very much like, I mean, in demand if you're writing a book that's like, here's a bunch of solutions to your problems. And like, for me, it's like, I do think people could get comfort from reading 2 stories, but it's more comfort in like knowing you're not alone. But there's nothing like in it that's prescriptive where it's like, and if you do these things, your life is going to be better or something. And so I think, it puts it in this weird market where it's a little harder to find again, I don't want to use that as an excuse. There is a market. It's just I struggle to find it, and
especially if
that's
you only use the first like 3 or 4 pages of 2 stories as your solution.
Yeah,
like, you don't need to read the rest of the book.
Yeah,
that's a deep cut. That's a 2 stories deep cut.
Nice. But yeah, so that for me is always hard with this with the slice of life stuff. And I've met other cartoonists who do slice of life. I know David Chelsea, like who did David Chelsea in Love, he struggled with that too. And we used to talk about it because it's really, when you write like slice of life, there is a market, but it's a really hard market to find anyone. Like it's just bizarre. They're out there because there's books that sell.
Both Jacob's Apartment and 2 stories. You have no sugarcoating and no like let's wrap up things neatly. Like that's not even in your vocabulary. It's just that kind of makes the stakes higher because when you're reading it, you're like, especially if you read Jacob's Apartment first and then you read 2 stories, it makes it a little more interesting because it's not always going to have a happy ending, but you could see that there's some optimism there, and you're kind of like you're rooting for it, but you know that it could go awry. The stakes are real. It's real life. It reminds me of, oh gosh, this is way too harsh an example. Okay, I don't mean this, but in Saving Private Ryan, when the cowardly soldier goes upstairs and sees his what do you call it, military cohort wrestling with a German, and they're fighting with a knife.
Oh, that's one of the best scenes in that movie, actually.
It is, but it's so heartbreaking and so real. It's absolutely real because that's probably what would happen a lot of times in real. Well, your books have that sense to them, like something could happen like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it got the sense of reality, not fantasy.
Yeah, and like the weird thing is if I were to write like an action thing, I'd probably go that route of like the hero might have a time where they just cowered out and you're like, what are you doing? Like, what about you, Jim? Like what is, like, have you had a struggle kind of finding a market? And then like, if there is a market, do you like, where do you think it is? I mean, you've definitely like built a pretty big fan base and following, and like you've had deals with Titmouse and stuff, so it's not like this is a but still, like, I think that struggle is something we all share,
absolutely. Because for what I do, for doing animated films, there's a couple of different levels to it. One is the length of the films I was doing for a long time, the shorts. A lot of my shorts were too long to be shorts and too short to be long films. They were in this weird middle ground, and I'm not going to say I was self-sabotaging, but that's what I wanted to do, like 20-minute stories. And there was a period of like 3 or 4 years where I was doing that. Before that, I was doing shorts, like 5 minutes, 7 minutes, kind of like same length as Looney Tunes. So the struggle that I find, that's one thing. It's the format of what I'm doing was a struggle. But beyond that, it's also like I've said this a million times. I love animation, but like I'm not like part of the animation inner circle.
Yeah.
I'm not a great Disney animator. I'm not a great animator. For what I do, it works for what I do. But I think I'm way more. I'm not John Bonham. I'm Meg White.
Yeah.
But for what I do, it works perfectly. And if you put John Bonham in the White Stripes, it wouldn't work as well. It would be a different band.
No, and like it's funny because I've always felt that way about Jack White's like later stuff, where it's less interesting because he's not.
Yes,
it's like he needed that.
That
like
limit.
You needed this like expert, like in a box.
Yeah.
With a simple drum beat that's a little sloppy. Yeah. It's like there's something raw about that's missing in most of Jack White's like newer
although
stuff.
It was a simple drum beat, it was always right. It was always
perfect.
It was perfect for the song because he kind of customizes playing to the drum beat.
Yeah.
So like my style for what I do is there's not huge walk cycles and this intricate animation, but I think the atmosphere that I create and the characters and the music and everything all together, it works for what it is.
Yeah.
I've always said this too, and maybe this is how I approach my stuff. I never approach my stuff as if this is the finished version of all time. This is the greatest, this is my masterpiece of all time.
Yeah.
I try to make it as good as I can with what I have.
Yeah.
And I always feel like the story and the characters are what, like, I'm presenting that will live on. And maybe somebody else will make something with them, or maybe, it'll get optioned, or maybe somebody will do whatever with them. But for when I'm doing it, I have a really good internal meter when it comes to if something's going to work or not.
Got it.
As I'm going, like as I'm working on something, I could tell like, oh, this is going to be good. Like I can tell it's good. And there's other times where I said, oh, I'm going to have to make a decision, a choice to go a different direction.
A completely entirely opposite direction. Direction. Yeah, exactly.
So like my struggle has been it's the audiences that traditionally are into animation.
Yeah.
There's pockets of them that like my stuff, and there's pockets that just probably aren't interested. They don't consider it real. But I don't get offended by it. I just it's strange. I have a very niche audience.
Yeah.
But I don't mind.
Well, and it is like that's the catch, is like, finding that niche audience and then like trying to kind of like market heavily to them in some way that's not like generic or like Scott can talk about this too, because I know his new YouTube is considering that, like pulling audiences that would be potentially outside of just cartoonists, not to kill the cartoonist base, but like to expand beyond that for like who he's speaking to on his YouTube.
I had a question for Scott too.
Part of why I've been doing the commentary is for that. Like it's literally like that could pull people doing searches for like weird philosophical stuff to my my YouTube, and again, like those might be people who'd buy Two Stories or Jacob's Apartment. What about you were saying you had?
I have a question for Scott. This is the question. This is coming from just the U.S. citizens, Americans.
Yeah.
But we are all wondering. We understand why your YouTube channel has gone silent. We understand.
Mm-hmm.
We know that there's stuff going behind the scenes. But I just wrote my congressman the other day and said, why does that affect Scott? Just particularly, specifically, only hosting the Artcasters, like not doing your own live show, but like hosting the Artcasters on your channel. What was your reasoning for that?
It all has to do with the YouTube's algorithm and the way they look at particular content. Things that when people go to your channel, they kind of need to know what it is, and if it's if you've got a bunch and that's if you care about this stuff. I mean, Josh has stated that he doesn't care. He wants to go do a Risk stream, or he wants to do these different things, and that's fine. It's probably not going to grow Josh's channel because there's so much different, and he's going to have different audiences. He's going to have people that maybe just like the Risk thing, and if you were to do that, probably the way to do that would be to have a separate channel for that or whatever.
No, that's a good point. Like most Risk like people who actually like really want to stream Risk, like, as their gig, there are people who literally their whole YouTube is just Risk, and those are usually the more successful channels. I don't usually see those guys being like, I'm also going to draw some pictures, because again, like you're right, Scott, like that would split focus. So good point.
So my goal is to actually try to make this like an income for me, and and to do that, people have to kind of know what to expect, and YouTube sees, an Artcaster's video gets maybe 200, 300 views. A video that I'm not saying it's a similar, like a live, if I do another live stream, same kind of format, but based on something that has a little more to do with my channel. Yeah. And if that one gets like 600 views, it kind of confuses the audience, and it confuses the algorithm and all this kind of stuff. Because I had always in the past just like, oh, woe is me, the algorithm. When in fact, algorithm is what it is. You can either play nicely with it and do what it wants you to do, and do what it's designed to help you do as far as growing a channel, because YouTube really is the only, we can talk this and that about YouTube and their algorithm. It's really whether you call it social media, whatever you want to categorize it as compared to like a Facebook or a Instagram. It's the only one that actually wants you to succeed. Like,
that's true.
It provides you with it provides you with all the analytics. You don't get that with a Facebook. You don't know any of that stuff. So all that information is there to help you succeed. But if you don't use that information, then it's not going to help you if what you want to do is try to make like a YouTube channel that's like a profitable channel.
No, that makes sense.
Any help beta testing this channel?
Obviously, well, I don't know if you caught Gary's stream, but I'm going to be showing you guys the first video, and I would definitely want to get your feedback and stuff like that. So, and any feedback moving forward, because it's going to be an evolution. Like, I don't know how people are going to react. I've done certain things that I think will help. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, the biggest channel on my channel is a sticker channel. I mean, it's a sticker video, how to make stickers. So, because that's the biggest video. And, how at the end of YouTube's, there's a link back. Well, the first video I'm going to do is another sticker video. There's the one after that has to do with another video that I did that was pretty successful, and there's a market for it. So hopefully YouTube's algorithm or whatever, it'll see, that his biggest channel on there is a sticker video, even though this new format's entirely different. There's a connection there. So if I can move people over there. And so my goal is, because of the kind of videos I'm choosing, the first couple of them, and the fact that I've been away. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to post Artcasters, because the last video I did, because it was the last video, it was kind of that last video. It got a ton of views, ton of engagement, way like probably tenfold compared to what my other ones did. Cause like, this guy's going away. Some people that maybe never even seen me before, it's like, who's this guy and why is he leaving or whatever. That video got a lot of engagement and a lot of views. So if I was to continue putting out Artcasters and those views kind of dip back down, so now 100%. The last video that I put got a lot of engagement. So when I come back,
you can roll it into the
The idea is that YouTube's going to say, this guy hasn't posted in a while. Mm-hmm. His last video did pretty good. Let's start pushing it out. And what happens is YouTube will push it out to a few people. And if they don't respond, then it doesn't continue to push it out. If people respond, then it keeps pushing out to more people. If more people respond, it pushes it out. And that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call. Sorry, go ahead, Jim.
I was going to say, what if Scott sends us this video and it's identical to his old videos? He's just wearing a blue lab coat.
Yeah. I actually have
guys, what do you think? Total reboot.
I wore a blue lab coat on a short-lived thing I did with Marshall Lee.
I remember this.
Really?
I got two other color lab coats. I've got
you have
the orange one.
Yeah,
the orange one
green.
I wore for the making comic or the comics 101.
And you have the lime green.
Yeah, the orange one also. That's one you wore in prison, right?
Yeah.
I believe there was also an orange one from prison.
Well, Scott, I didn't want to tell you this, but I take your old videos when you're wearing the lime green one, and I color key it. And I put a really shredded dude, because I just picture you that way. Yeah.
Okay, Scott, you have to at some point do a bad color key that takes out your lab coat and just do it as a bit from back when green screening was first invented, where you're like, I have this invisibility cloak. It's got to happen.
How many top or episodes do you have plotted out?
I have 3 videos totally done. I mean, four totally done. That they take a long time to do. They could take up to 40 hours to do one video. So
what's the running time on the videos?
They usually come in at about 15 minutes. 15 to I don't think I'll go over 20. Somewhere in between 15, 17, 14.
Are you using any music on these?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a whole production. So there's music, there's cutaways, there's B-roll, there's little bits, there's characters, or different things that pop in. So
nice. And you're utilizing the room?
Yeah. Everything's in here, and you guys. I don't know how far along it was when you guys were out, or at least you, Jim. Josh hasn't really seen it, but
I'm gonna have to go up there. I was joking that we should, in all seriousness, do a joking Striper concert. It has to happen. This will be the next time we hang out.
I'm in.
I did this thing in Photoshop where I either zoomed in too far or zoomed out too far, and I can't. It's not letting me. It's not giving me the little minus sign. I'm trying to.
Can't you just hit Command 0 and it goes
what's Command? Let's see.
Or Command not Command 0, Command O. I think. Hold on, let me test.
That might be it.
Or Command minus.
Hold on. Oh my goodness.
Control
cancel.
No,
that was open.
That brought up an open.
Hold on.
There's got to be a way
to. Try that. It's gonna make your whole screen.
I know there's an action for that, but I don't.
I'm trying to remember. I thought I've used it like recently, and I'm shocked that it's not.
Yeah, because there's got to be like
it's Command 0.
Zoom. Oh, I got
Command 0.
I found it. There's also a little thing up here that says
like
scrubby
a professional baseball player dropping a pop fly.
Nice. Holly Brown said, my Photoshop glitches and I have to close it and open it again. Mine all the time.
Holly.
How's it going, Holly? Holly's been doing some streaming. Yeah, some really good ones. She's like a good model for how to stream, you know.
I think something's wrong with this because I'm actually hitting the zoom button.
Okay, it was Command 0 or Control. I guess if you're on PC it's Control, but it's Command 0 on Mac. So Control 0 will get you to the plane.
Okay. This thing's doing some weird stuff.
I've been having issues with Wacom and Adobe.
Hold on, let me pull it on screen. I want to show you what this thing's doing. Let's see.
Oh snap, you guys! We are getting an exclusive view.
So what? So where's my? Now it probably won't do it, but so I've got my. You see the little plus thing? I'm gonna zoom in. That was one. I just clicked once, and now I try to zoom out, and it does this.
If you command plus or minus.
Here's that Command 0. Okay, so it gets back there.
Yeah.
But if I want to I'm just gonna click once, right? That didn't do anything. Now just. What just happened?
Wait, where are you using to zoom in though? Are you
using my mouse? I've got the magnifying glass. I just used the mouse. I clicked on it once. Now I'm going to go back to Control 0, so it's full screen.
Got it.
If I want to zoom,
try just doing Control plus.
Control plus. All right. Okay, but that's kind of a pain.
And try Control minus.
Okay. I guess I can do it like
those
that.
Those are like that's what I use to zoom in all the time.
But usually I just click on my mouse. Okay.
I don't know I don't know the setting though. That's the tough part. But that's crazy. I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know either. All right. Well, yeah.
Corey said program the zoom into your Elgato, and I'm sure he just made that up. That's not a real word.
Well, I could probably do that. I don't know how to. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I have a joke about Elgato. That's like a really old thing that happened to me when I was younger, and maybe I can tell that story before we wrap this stream. So, I'm a kid. I'm over at my friend's house, like probably about 16, and we're walking through his neighborhood, and we're all like decked out in our like punk rock uniform because it's pretty much a uniform. You're just like wearing patches and spikes and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're like walking down the street and just doing like harmless, like, 16-year-old stuff. Like I think we were heading to like AM PM to get cheeseburgers or something. And we're walking and this guy is like drinking beer on his lawn. And he's just like, hey, what the hell are you doing? And he gives us like all this crap. And eventually he gives us beer. And like we're just like, okay, I guess we have to drink beer because the guy's kind of getting in our face about walking past his lawn. And so we're 16-year-olds. I don't think at that point we did drink beer, but we're like sipping on this beer, which we'd never had. So it just tastes disgusting. And he's like, all right, you guys are all right. They call me El Gato. It means cat because I'm prowling the neighborhood. For like years after that, like anytime, because we were both like about to crap our pants from this guy. Like this guy's just like, oh, like getting in our face. And then he's actually ended up being like this really sweet guy, but also kind of forced us to drink beer. Because he thought we were all like thugged or like he thought we were thugs or something because we had like our paraphernalia, our punk rock paraphernalia. Little did you know we were.
Sounds like you grew up in one of my cartoons.
Yeah, but the Elgato cat thing that's lasted forever. Yeah.
I don't know what
what does Corey mean by that? Program the Zoom into your Elgato.
Oh, well, this is an Elgato here. A Stream Deck thing that I don't know if I can. This thing here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I can do that. Yeah, probably, but I don't know what it's doing because it's just.
Okay. Well, to be continued on another episode, I'm looking how to share my screen while I'm drawing on the iPad, and then have a camera on me in StreamYard.
Oh, you should totally be able to do that. Because especially if you get OBS, it's like you can use your phone as a camera. Like, when I stream those Risk games, it's like that's just my phone. So you can literally have like your iPad like connected as a camera, and then put in another image of you. I don't know if that'll work with StreamYard alone, but I could see. I don't see why it wouldn't.
I could probably send myself an invite through StreamYard and then get it on my iPad and then just share my screen on that. I'll have to figure it out.
Paul, I actually did something like that. The only catch is if you do that, you'd have to mute mute the one that's like one of them. But yeah, that should work in theory too, as long as you're not getting audio from both.
I'm gonna contact Elgato.
Nice. Just call him up. Be like, Elgato, how's it going?
He'll be holding a beer. Be like, you gotta open up OBS and you gotta sync your camera to that.
Here, I just thought it was weird. Like, to me, the thing that was weird about it is who says if they're like, my name's Elgato, it means cat. I'm like, who talks like that? Like, I don't know. It's just funny. I don't know. We got Corey. Corey, I'm about to wrap in about like 10 minutes.
Corey jumping in for my technical support issues.
What's up, Corey?
And then it got really interesting.
Hi, this is Corey. Can I help you with your support issue?
Somebody called IT and
hi, this is Corey. Your ticket number is 41442.
Did the AI bat phone go off again, Corey? We weren't talking about AI, I swear.
No, I was listening while I was teaching my kids how to skateboard, and then they all took a nap, and I was like, oh, I should jump on.
Nice.
That means they're unconscious.
Yeah, that means they all fell when he put them on the half pipe.
That's how well it went. Now Maddox can kick now, so he's
What you should teach them is some sick blading. You know what I'm saying?
You should teach them some righteous submission holds so they could take on Ben.
I want to say this is the first time that I've enjoyed the size of Josh's logo. It's working really well right now.
Oh, yeah, that's a fair point. Let me, now that we have, usually.
I would say that mostly.
There we go. that would be funny. What I should do on streams like this is put, like whoever I want to block off, I can just put in that corner. And then as they're talking, just kind of go like that.
Oh.
I like my obnoxious size
in the
thing.
Corner, by the way.
That's right.
I love that logo. I just think it's funny when it covers everybody's face.
It is funny. Let me put although honestly we're gonna be wrapping fairly soon, and by wrapping I mean freestyle rapping.
By the way, I wanted to tell Corey this. I have every time I'm saying something detrimental or something just to put Corey down, I think to myself, I'm going to be kayaking with this man one day, and it's all come to roost.
In 18 inches of water, your life will be.
I
need to be kind to Corey.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, once we're out in Idaho visiting this man, there's really, where are you going to go? Like,
yeah, Jen was just asking about when we're going to make that happen. So.
Yeah. Oh, we gotta. It sucks though. Like, I may have to pass on the first visit because, well, it might be possible because I could roll it into like a Utah visit too with family or something. But like, the only downside is I can't do a long trip just with the stupid book deadline I have. So
when is Phoenix NamblaCon coming up? Is that
that's true? When's the Phoenix Necronomicon again?
You're talking about the fan fusion thing. I think it's in a
no,
couple weeks.
that's really soon. No, isn't there?
Okay.
If there's particularly
that
in the middle of summer, I'd like to go.
Yeah, it's perfect time right now. Yeah. No,
music, by the way.
What is? How did that music even go on?
I just felt like we were having a moment.
Oh, okay. you gotta turn it down just a slight bit, but it is funny to like do the music.
Can we turn it down? How do you turn it down?
It has like a volume.
Oh yeah, there we go.
A volume lever. A lever. Yeah. The levers of power.
Can I have some meditation music, Corey, please?
Yeah, here you go.
Okay. Jim, you are going to give people their motivational boost for the day. And go.
I want you to concentrate on your friggin' breathing. Notice your friggin' self breathing out, all right? Now, notice yourself breathing in and just feel the calm. Feel the friggin' calm already. All right.
That's amazing. I like the idea of just all right. What you're gonna do right now is visualize yourself and actualize your reality.
Oh yeah. I like that. It's really it's very NPR.
All right. Corey, give people words of encouragement with said music.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Oh, this is you're digging through my audio files.
Oh, sorry. It's loaded on here. Do you want me to turn
that
it on?
one's No Saboteurs.
I know. That's why I turned it on. I like that band.
They're all right. Speaking of, I got to rap so that I can go record a silly album and with a friend. And I will be streaming a little bit later today, probably like around 4-ish or something like that.
Is this under No Saboteurs, what you're doing today, or is it just you and your friend?
I guess technically it's No Saboteurs because like No Saboteurs is pretty much me and Josh, so it's like Josh and Josh. And what'll be revealed later is that it's really there is no other Josh. I've just been talking about my friend Josh, and that's my other personality.
That should be the name of your band. No Other Josh.
No other Josh.
And you should have Van Halen wings on the
Josh squared. Just put a little number 2.
And I'll say, I'm a big Nodge fan. I've been a big Nodge fan since their early demos.
Nodge. Wait a minute. What was our J name for our J crew?
The J Boys.
J Boys. All right, guys. J Boys out. No.
All right. J Boys out.
All right. Before we do the J Boys out, though, let's make a round and just like let everybody know where they can find each other's work. So start with Corey. Where can everybody find your stuff, sir?
You can find my stuff at CoreyKerr.com. Right there, floating along the bottom of the screen. So
I love it. All right, Jim, where can everybody find your work, sir?
Point your Elgato to jimluhan.com, and maybe you'll catch me up on my roof cleaning out the leaves like I did earlier today. So,
did you have to really clean the leaves from your roof? That's interesting. Have you gone on your roof before?
I sure have. I've gone on the roof lots of times.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. That actually is my career. I'm a chimney sweep with a bad British accent.
And it goes a little like this. Dun, dun.
All right, and that's a good lead-in for Mr. Scott Cirkland. Where can everybody follow your work and check out what you're doing? And also, how can they support you on Patreon and get little behind-the-scenes access kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah. I think Patreon, you probably just search CircWorks on Patreon. That would probably be the best way. It's not so easy to always find people there, but I imagine, hopefully if you type in CircWorks, it'll point you to me on Patreon. Nice. But I'm pretty much CircWorks, I would say everywhere, but I'm not everywhere. I'm only at a few places, like on my website, which is CircWorks, and on YouTube, which is CircWorks. So go to those places.
I love it. Also, check out Scott's OnlyFans, and we will see you guys on the next live stream. But I'll probably be live streaming at like 4:00 today. So if anybody wants to join, I appreciate everybody.
Working, so.
Yeah,
Well,
and I love it. That's cool. We're having some really cool, like, what I love is this this whole kind of bullpen vibe of like working on art together, and we're gonna have to take this power to Idaho at some point. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next live stream. Thanks to everybody in the chats, and I will I'll be on later. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications when we're about to go live, and make sure you hit like right now. Because if you haven't liked this stream, it takes 2 seconds, and I don't know, do it. Okay, have a good day. Bye.
Thanks, Josh. Bye, Corey. Bye, Scott.